please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing after the prayer for our pledge of allegiance. And Alderman Brooks, would you lead us in that, please?
Gracious and precious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the ability to meet here tonight, Lord. Lord, I pray that you would watch over our kids as they get ready to move on to the summertime, Lord. Pray that you would watch over us as a city, Lord. Keep us safe. Lord, I pray that you would have your hand in everything that we do here in the city. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening is approval of minutes from the April 17, 2018 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 17, 2018 with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution setting the hearing for a tax increment financing bond in an amount not to exceed $5 million.
Mayor Board, this is the, tonight's just setting the hearing for the, doing a TIF in an amount not to exceed $5 million for the Silo Square project on Gitwell Road. Tonight, obviously, we're not voting on anything, it's just setting the hearing that will be at the May 15th meeting. So 2 weeks from tonight, it'll be advertised in the City of Times pursuant to state law. The TIF plan, along with the 2005 plan, will be on file at the clerk's office during that 2 weeks for anyone to review. So tonight, just authorization for this hearing to be set and to advertise for the hearing in the City of Times.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores. Is there a second? I'll second. We have a second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
This is only for the hearing, setting the hearing, right?
Correct. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is a resolution declaring Municipal Clerks Week, the week of May 6th through 12, 2018.
Maybe you can just pass the resolution based on the agenda item.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for the retirement for Sergeant Ty Pierce.
This resolution will authorize the firearm for Sergeant Pierce in retirement pursuant to the PERS system. So tonight, just need authorization for that resolution in recognition of Sergeant Todd Pierce's service to the city, and the mayor signed a resolution for that authorization for the retirement and the purchase of the sidearm.
I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. I would like to just congratulate and thank Sergeant Pierce for his service since September 7th of 1995. He put in many years with us, and we wish him well in his retirement. And again, thank you. Any other discussion?
I'll echo that. It's well earned.
Okay, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract addendum with Windstream.
If this, you'll recall, we're previously under contract, we're under contract now with Windstream for our IT or our phone systems and IT, some of our IT systems at the police headquarters on Northwest Drive. This will this addendum will add that service also to the police station on Highway 51 that's being done. So it's just an addendum to that contract. There are some purchases in there, but the purchases are ancillary to the services that are being provided. So tonight, just need authorization, I think, for Chris Shelton to sign this contract with Windstream and have it reflected in the minutes. And if you have any technical detail or technical questions for Chris Shelton here to answer those, because I'll be honest with you, the technical stuff kind of over my head, but I can tell you about the contract.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is an intergovernmental transfer agreement with DeSoto County.
This is authorization of the mayor to sign an agreement with DeSoto County to allow the city to purchase some items from the county for our animal shelter, some storage and other items to help out when we have overflow of animals. The county wanted us to approve the agreement. I think we'd purchase it for $10 from the county and we'd arrange pickup. And it helped the county out by getting rid of those equipment, but also help us out by providing it for our animal shelter when we have overflow situations. Talked to Perry Mason, he was obviously in favor of it, so tonight I recommend that the mayor sign this agreement with intergovernmental transfer agreement with DeSoto County.
I'll make the motion. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the Law Fit Challenge donation.
Just, and Chief Pearl's here to answer questions on this, for any specific questions. This will just authorize us as the city pursuant to Mississippi Code 17-3-1 to donate $5,000 as Law Fit Challenge based on based on the favorability to bring to the city through that donation. As you notice, the city's hosting it, and all this will be able to showcase resources of the city. So if you have specific questions, Chief Pearl's here to answer it, but tonight we need authorization pursuant to 17-3-1 to make that donation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
Pretty excited. I'm gonna watch that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution granting authority to claim private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there any discussion from any of the private property owners? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir, we have two items on the agenda tonight. The first one is an application for subdivision approval of the Bowen subdivision. It's 7.69 acres, and it's going to be on the northeast corner of Horn Lake Road, State Line Road. Comprehensive plan and rezoning of it in 2005 allowed the hard corner to go commercial, and then it kind of lessened down to an office zoning on the lot number 2. They are requesting to leave the Homestead House as an additional parcel to the top. So the commercial subdivision will just encompass the 2 that you see in red right there. Only comments that we have, we've got to make sure we got the right of way for any widening improvements on either one of the roads. State Line Road is covered. We have the 90 feet there, but we did ask that they add the additional 8 feet required to get the 68 feet of right of way to get Horn Lake up to code. So if we do need to do the improvements there, we've got the width. They agreed to that. They're going to do the adjustments to right of way and deduct it out of lot 1, and at that point we approved it.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve item number 1 on the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion on item 1? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
Our second application is the Angel Commercial Subdivision. It's going to be on the north side of Goodman Road, east of Elmore. Everybody probably better knows it as the excavation pit over there on the north side. It's a lot of dirt work's been done. What we're wanting to do is separate it into 2 lots. The first lot is going to be all the linear footage on Goodman Road. It's going to be a lot included with 1.48 acres. You'll have something come in front of you after this board meeting, but it's where the new freestanding Mi Pueblo is going to be. It also has a patio and then some retail development on it, but it's only encompassed on the small lot at the very bottom. That you'll see there, there's no curb cuts to the individual lot. There's already recorded ingress egress, which will carry on to lot 2 in the back. So all this is the subdivision application. It is compliant with all city requirements. Right of way is already dedicated. Goodman Road's obviously NIMDOT road, so it's improvements are done by them. With that being said, we voted unanimously in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve item number 2 on the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion on item 2? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
At item 3, we're removing for future date. We've had some discussions with the hotel going on this site and had some issues run into it, so they've asked to be removed from the agenda.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the mayor's report. Just update a few things. Before I get into that, we do need to vote to adopt the FY17 audit that we discussed at the last meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the FY17 audit.
I'll make that motion. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. A couple other things. Saturday morning, we will be having the very first serve day with our Serve Southaven program. It'll start at 8 o'clock at the Forever Young Center in our Bank Plus building at Snow Grove Park. It will have many volunteers there. We're going to rally there at 8 o'clock. Then volunteers are going to hit the streets with beautification projects, helping those that can't help themselves, with code enforcement issues, that kind of thing. So it's a very special day. Tracy Gallagher, as y'all are aware, is our director. She's coordinating this event, done a great job. So we're looking forward to the first Serve Day for Serve Southaven in our city. Just a quick update. A few meetings back, we brought it before the board, that there was a concern in the city of having the postal address changed for some of the residences that are in annexed areas. Y'all may recall that years back with some of the annexations, that they never had their name and zip code changed. So we have some zip codes in Southaven that are Olive Branch. Even though they're still in the city limits, they're in the city limits of Southaven, they still have an Olive Branch address, both name and zip code. We have the same thing on the western end of our city, like the Grandview Lakes area. They still have a Walls address with a 38680 zip. Then on the southeastern part of our city, we have a section of residential areas that still have a Nesbitt address with a 38651. The reason we felt like this was an issue was brought to my attention years ago when the annexation first occurred, that the city attempted to get all of these changed to a Southaven address. For whatever reason, that was declined by the United States Postal Service. Since then, we revisited that as we found that it causes problems from a 911 standpoint. It causes confusion, it affects public safety in our city. So we felt like it was important to revisit that with the Postal Service. Since then, Chris Wilson and I have both spoken with representatives of the Postal Service. The latest update is they have informed us that it causes problems from a mail delivery standpoint and personnel standpoint to change the zip codes. But they told us that their recommended solution is to change the name but leave the zip code the same. That concerned us in the beginning since the zip code would be shared by two cities in some cases, or in all cases, but they've assured us that that's their recommended plan. So at this point, we did get back in touch with them. We do feel like the most important thing is the name is changed. If you live in the city of Southaven, you should have a Southaven address. We believe that. So anyway, that's the status of it. It's not been formally approved yet, but just want to give y'all an update of where we are on that. Are there any questions about that while we're on that topic? Okay, and then moving on, the last meeting we discussed, just as an update, the drainage problem at the arena. And so tonight I've asked Dan Cordell to step forward and just kind of go over, I did my best engineering imitation last meeting, but I guess it wasn't good enough. So I brought the real man here tonight to kind of update everybody on this and explain this drainage issue at the arena.
Let me start out by saying I apologize for leaving y'all hanging last board meeting. And don't think that just because this is a hammer situation and I always see nails, we do have a drainage issue out at the arena. When we first approached in the mayor and for parks looking at leveling the floor at the arena, it appeared to be a simple process of just adding in material to level the flooring in to improve future use and for the volleyball and also other areas in the arena. We happened to visit the site after several rains and met with the director there along with Wes, and apparently there's a reoccurring issue of water bubbling up through the slab during rain events. And so during our process of taking cores, we drilled below the slab, cored the arena area, which we needed to do anyway for our process, and the subsurface soils are significantly wet. And we've monitored several times through rain events, and the rain is coming up through the floor only happens during those rain events, and it appears that it doesn't appear, there's beams that go underneath the floor at each column. And that water's finding a way because these downspouts are also at these column locations. There are 25 downspouts, they're 8-inch by 6-inch downspouts, so significant water coming down. To give you an idea of the amount of water when you split the north side and the south side, in order to handle water that all the pipes bring to you, you need an 18-inch to a 24-inch pipe that it would head into. So it's a significant amount of water. The original design of the building showed those downspouts coming down and going into a 10-inch PVC pipe, getting past the footer, and then going into this head pipe, and then going out into the city's drain system. The problem is I don't know what happened, this was 15 years ago, whenever it was built. Those 10-inch tie-ins inadvertently became 3-inch to 4-inch PVC pipes, so there's a bottleneck there. But there's also no protection from them, so just in general maintenance and water pressure and mowing, those downspouts have been knocked over, disconnected, and so they're going straight into the ground. And in some of those cases, when you look out there, if y'all have ever gone in, there's a hole about the size of this canopy here that the water's going into those beam footings, which helps explain why we're getting a water issue during rain event. So doing a little bit more exploring, we dug into the header pipe, which was supposed to be an 18-inch pipe. There's a 10 or 12-inch, depending on which side you're on, and they're completely full of water. They've been blocked or never connected one way or another. We could never find the end of them, but they're all holding water and you can't find where they tie them. So our recommendation, what we approached the mayor and Wes about, was to maintain the original intent of the subsurface drainage. But to do it, we need to basically replace those header pipes because they're an unknown quantity and they're not the right size. So either way, they've got to go. And then put in a cast iron coupling that would tie to the downspout and get you subsurface so the mowers and everything else like that wouldn't hit it or damage it, because that maintenance issue is causing significant damage to your flooring. When you start talking to Wes and the manager of that building, there's been several projects done to do leveling for door jambs and subsurface grouting. And for some reason, we never looked at the cause. We just fixed the problem. And there's some significant cracking going on in there, and it's going to continue to worsen if we don't fix the drainage issue, the subsurface water issue. And so my recommendation was to do a two-stage approach. One, while volleyball's going on, get the drainage off of them, get the water that's coming down the downspouts from coming up, which would eliminate some maintenance of replacing the subfloors during volleyball season. And then once volleyball season's done, you'll have a window of opportunity then that the water's off of the subsurface and we can put in the flooring if the board chooses at that time to spend that money to level the flooring out. But no matter what happens, I would recommend that the drainage issue be fixed in some manner.
And Dan, one of the main questions that came up last meeting was, the way I understood it, is the drainage after it comes, from the downspouts and feeds down into the drainage system. There was a disconnect between there and the city's drainage system, whether it be the Horn Lake Creek or the street drainage system. Would you explain the details of that, what the disconnect was?
Well, basically they go straight, the footer extends from the building about 5 or 6 feet. And so they didn't want the water going straight into the footer, or we're gonna have the same problem we have now. So they extended that pipe past the footer to get into a head pipe, a main drain line. That main drain line's there, it's an adequate size, like I said, it was 10-inch, but then it doesn't go anywhere. So right now there's water standing there. So if we just reconnected the downspouts, there's nowhere for the water to go still, so we've got to connect it up. And the method that they used to connect the downspouts to that pipe, I don't think was you need to add some protection. I mean, mowers, just regular maintenance is gonna knock that stuff loose. And so you need to do something that's a little bit more stable to protect that issue from just some laborer knocking it loose. So that's how we presented, basically doing cast iron connections, and there's 25 downspouts. So I mean, there are a lot of downspouts, a lot of water coming north and south side. And then connecting that into the pipes, and then that would connect into our collection system. And I think that was part of the budget number, and understand that was budget. It was basically an allowance because we haven't gone through a lot of design. We identified the issue. We worked with the contractor to help determine the issue. There's some things we can do to downsize that, but we needed some type of mechanism or allowance to start working through that problem.
But part of that, the reason I asked the question, it is a significant repair. So part of that was to connect it to the city.
Yeah, I think there was some discussion about basically turning the water loose when it hits the downspout. We did think of that, did look at that, and it's a compromise. But to put it in perspective, on the north side, you have very little drainage slope. I mean, the ground's pretty much flat. There's significant distance of 20 to 30 feet before you hit pavement. And like I said, it's an 8-inch by 6-inch downspout with significant water coming through it. So you'd have to basically do a stabilized swell or flume to channel that water to keep it from eroding the ground to get it past the footer. So on the south side, it goes straight across a sidewalk after it goes another 30 or 40 feet and then into the parking lot. And like I said, the original intent was to get that underneath so that you don't have pedestrians or anybody else during a rain event walking through there with a body of water coming out at each one of these intervals. And you would have those at every 20 or so feet. Now, that is definitely a cheaper option, but you would lose some landscaping and have those swales throughout. But again, that's something that we could look at. It was not something we had addressed.
Okay, now, are there any questions regarding that, or, no? Any discussion?
This is coming out of the general fund, right?
Well, we hadn't decided how mainly I just wanted y'all to be aware of what the problem is, and then, it's something that could be, it's a park facility, so it could.
It's that, and it's an existing drainage, I mean, it's a city drainage system, and so it could either be a drainage maintenance issue, but either way, that's gotta come out of the maintenance budget or improvements budget.
Okay. So it could come out of utility.
Not utilities, but we have a drainage maintenance.
Right.
Yeah, so it would qualify to come out of drainage maintenance or
Parks.
Parks.
Okay. So what are we talking about from a cost perspective?
Well, the initial quote, Dan believes it can be done a little bit less than that. What are the
Yeah,
numbers?
we were trying to get an allowance of 115,000. There's about 1,500 feet of pipeline that needs to be done. We made a price 24-inch. We can actually stage it on the upstream to downstream from probably 18, maybe 15 down to 24. We made them price it with a 24 just because we didn't have all the numbers refined at that time, and I wanted to get it in front of y'all as quickly as we could. So, yes, there are some potential savings that we could administer through better engineering design.
But obviously would be necessary before, the proposed project that we discussed about leveling the floor in the arena. This is a must, and they had to do this. If we're gonna do that, this obviously has to be done.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but even if we don't level, we are, but even if we weren't, this, to protect the asset, you would still need to do this.
It's causing you problems now. You spend money now leveling doorways and concrete. There's concrete cracks out there, inch wide. It's not, this problem's, matter of fact, when they drilled some of the holes, now it's not a fear of failure, but there are some craters underneath that slab, and that's a significantly width slab, so it's bridging everything, but you are losing material. So it's an item that's gonna worsen, condition that's gonna get worse that we need to fix. No matter whether you level the floor or not.
Right. It's gonna jeopardize the arena,
Correct.
the integrity of it. Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions or discussion?
If you had to fix that in the inside too, how much more would that be? Or would you do it when you level the floor?
Well, what we would like to do, and part of the reason you'd stage it in, is I'd like to get the water off of it and see what happens. Because the change of the moisture over time should do what it's gonna do. And then when we come in with the improvement, we should know then whether we need to do anything subsurface. Part of our plan did increase for putting the slab in, because our recommendation now, knowing that the material's wet and we could have voids, we're actually versus building on top of the existing concrete, we want to take that out, plus some of the material. We had to add material anyway. We want to take it out and dry it, place it back, add the material, that way we know what we have going back. Now, that doesn't handle the peripheral ring, but it'll give you a better idea over that time frame what's happening there. And a lot of that area around the concession stand has been flowable field, grouted underneath, so it should be stable from what it's gonna do. It's everything else is not.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Okay, and that's all I have this evening on the mayor's report. Next is citizens' agenda. We have Ms. Caroline Barnett with the library that's here. Please come forward.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, and I'm here to introduce our new director of the First Regional Library System, of which we're a part. Meredith Wickham is the director over our 5 counties and 14 branches.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you all tonight. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to introduce myself to you. My name is Meredith Wickham. I'm the new director of the system of which Southaven is a part. Southaven Library, you know, the M.R. Davis Library is a beautiful gem, I would say, in our system. One of the busiest libraries in the state, as you all know, a gorgeous building, which we're going to have the 10th anniversary of being in that building this year. And we would love to see you all attend that celebration in the fall. It is an important milestone for us, of course. And I typically work very well with mayors and boards, and so I wanted to let you all know that right off the bat. And that's because I do consider my highest fiduciary duty, of course, to be to the taxpayers who fund us. That typically tends to make me work very well with you guys because I know what it's like to be a public servant. I know what it's like to depend upon those funds and to make the best use of them and the most effective use of them to serve our communities. I would say right now your library is something to be very proud of. If you haven't visited recently, I know one of the aldermen was recently there for an event. Please make an opportunity to do so at your earliest convenience. And I look forward to meeting you individually in the community. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thanks for being here. Okay, and then was there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on the citizens agenda? If so, please come forward, ma'am. Sure, sure. Please come forward.
I'm a citizen. My name is Florence Smith-Haney and I live on Iris Drive. And I've got several things that I want to say, but they said, well, you better talk fast because it's going to be 3 minutes. Okay. Did you ever pass the thing to have where cats could not be running loose? I know that was going to be on the agenda sometime in the past. Leash law, they call it.
We've not made any recent changes to animal control at all.
Okay, so cats can do their thing, okay?
Whatever the current, Bradley is, no, Perry's not here with us.
It's not allowed for them to just run any animal to road and loose. It's supposed to be on its property or else contained by a leash or some way of keeping it under control if you're off your property. That's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing's changed recently, like you said.
Okay.
It's been there for a while.
Oh, okay, good. I love the new street signs. They're so easy to read, even without my glasses. And they look attractive because they don't look at everything else. Now, what my problems are is the pine trees on Sweeney. They got all of one side cut off. That means that if there's a big wind or something, those pine trees are going over on all those wood fences there. So I know this is easement property that the pine trees were put up in, and I see that the name of the subdivision is Pine something. So I want to say something about that.
Is that where, do you live there? Is that where you live at Southaven?
No.
Okay. So
I
what's
drive there.
I'm just asking, what's the concern that,
I drive that way going to my sister's,
okay.
so I'm frequently traveling on that, and all of a sudden, half the tree is gone.
Well, that's, Entergy does that with the power lines. That's why they cut the side that's next to the power line.
Yeah, but that means that if it falls over, it's gonna go on the property owner's fence.
Okay, well, actually, someone brought that to my attention today for the first time, but we'll take a look at that. Obviously, if the trees are unsafe, if they're on public property, if they're unsafe, then we'll address that. It's not been brought to my attention that they're unsafe though, but we will inspect that and verify that.
Okay, thank you. Then people are turning right, okay. If I'm coming and I have a left turn signal, people in the opposing side are making a right turn and going into the middle lane, so I'm having to slow down to make a left turn because somebody is taking advantage of the light change. And I don't know how many crashes have been like that, but it sure makes me nervous.
Where, is there a specific intersection you're referring to?
Going to Superlow.
Superline, so it's Sweeney and Goodman?
Well, it's right in front of, Wells Fargo.
That's Elmore. That's Elmore.
Okay, I'm probably not learning my street.
Well, Superlow.
Yeah, it's Sweeney and Goodman.
Yeah.
Elmore is the is Wells Fargo.
Okay, South Salem, Rod
Sands.
Street.
So you're talking about at Elmore then?
Yes.
Okay.
Also at Elmore, there's a house that has pine tree in the front, that the low growing limbs on it, and pine trees grow a foot a year. So the low growing limbs on it are extending past the curb.
Into the roadway?
If you're
Okay.
gonna make a right turn there, you have to go around the limbs.
Okay. Brandon, would you make a note about that, please, sir?
And also, the power lines are there, so they're just about to do that too.
Okay.
It's gonna be a heartbreaking thing for that homeowner because they've got matching pine trees in their front yard.
Okay, and again, we'll address, from a public standpoint, anything that's public property, we can address that. If it's related to a power line, that's something we would contact Entergy to try to help with that. But yeah, we'll definitely inspect those and check that out.
Thank you. Now to my subdivision, somebody was asking about my subdivision. I was interested in the thing about putting smaller pipes than what was specified and giving somebody a buy on what they were doing. I think that was done on my street, on Iris Drive, because repeatedly you've had to come and dig up and put a patch, dig up and put a patch, and because the pipes have given there. So the whole street is patched.
So is water getting over the street?
The only place that I know that water stands a lot is in front of 7633 Iris Lane.
I'm just trying to understand, are you concerned that there's a sinkhole or something, or is water over
Well,
the
every
top
time
of the
one
street?
gets in there, they come and patch it. But, like it's periodically, and my understanding was that they were allowed to put smaller pipes in there somehow at the original construction, which I wasn't there then. I am old enough to remember when they were debating whether to say South Haven as two words or one though. And I lived in Whitehaven when it was Whitehaven and not Shot Haven, which I understand now is what it's called. And I could see the trees in Mississippi waving at me. So I left in '57 and I came back 5 years ago.
Well, welcome back, and we'll check the street out.
I consider myself a resident always. I still get mad when someone says something about Mississippi on television. And I know that we're frequently cautioned about having open water for mosquitoes and all. I've already been bitten by mosquitoes, but there's also water standing in the water meters. So that's standing in water. And those meters and whatever the other plastic things for electrical or whatever, because there's no above ground stuff, those things just keep getting broken and cracked. And I fished a duckling out of one of them, and they don't stay in place well. So.
Well, again, if you see one, it will help us to respond to it quicker if you can give us a
I do.
location. Yeah, just give us a location, and we'll have crews that inspect that, and we'll get that correct.
Okay. And I found 3 in one spot where there were only 2 places for a meter, so we moved that one back down to where there was one missing. That's strange. Then my biggest problem is the ducks. First I was told that they were protected, but they're not mallards, so they're not protected, and they're not afraid of people. I get my regular exercise chasing them with a stick, and so I guess that could be a good thing. But the ducklings get down in those meters, and I fish them out of there. The ducks camp out in the yards, and you cannot walk across the grass in my area. There's the older ducks, it's their season, I know that, but I live in the city, so.
Are they chasing you, or are you chasing them?
I'm chasing them, and they're not afraid of me. And I saw a guy on a Sedgeway yesterday, and I said, would you go up and chase those ducks? They've probably never seen you, something like that. And they just looked at him like he was something strange. So there's a lot of male ducks. They've killed one female already, and the animal control person came out. He was very nice and gave us some hints. Somebody, he said, use a noise thing, and somebody's already used the noise thing, and it didn't bother him at all. Somebody else has squirted him with a hose, as he suggested, and that didn't bother him at all. They just appreciated the shower.
Well, that's a new one. I'm not, that is something, congratulations, that's something I've never heard before. Nobody's ever told me about the duck problem in our city. But Bradley, will you bring that to Perry's attention and get him to address that?
Yes, sir, he's aware of it.
Perry knows, he's been out there.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's one female that died from all the activity, so she was dead out there, and Perry picked her up and took her away. Now there's another dead duck at the corner, at the back corner of the fence on the left side when you turn to go to my address. And I did not go down there and look at the address to see what her house number was.
Okay, yeah, we're familiar with that area. We'll do another inspection of the area and check on that.
I don't know who this has to be addressed to, but, you know, they build something and they put some cute little shrubs out and they look really nice, and then they overgrow and they just get trimmed at the top and you can't see. Major one is right here at the expressway. If you're gonna go north on 55 and you pull to go north on 55, it says yield, but you cannot see over the shrubs to see whether there's something coming or not.
So it's on the ramp in the public right of way? It's on the ramp, it's not a private business, it's on the ramp or the roadway?
Yeah, the ramp to get on 55 to go north at Goodman.
We have a.
No, at State Line, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a contractor that does a manicured right of ways in the city, so we can bring that, to their attention.
Okay, and then the shopping centers are the same thing. Where Walmart is in that shopping center, you know, it's nice when they put the little shrubs there, but they grow, and you can't see oncoming traffic.
Okay.
And street lights, now I'm not talking about traffic lights. Now when I complained about this when I lived in neighboring state, they told me we don't have any personnel that work at night to see if the street lights are out, lady. So that was the end of the conversation. So I would like for it to be some way that streetlights get replaced in a timely manner, like the tall lights over the expressway ramps and at Goodman and whatever goes to Lowe's. Those have been out for a long time.
Okay, well,
It's like you go from light to dark, and when you get my age, you know, your pupils may take a little bit to change. It's difficult
yeah.
going from light to dark.
Well, I understand. We do have problems with that at times, and the way we correct that, Entergy manages we lease the lights from Entergy, so we'll bring that to their attention and get that corrected if we know the locations. But Bradley, will you note that Goodman Road near Lowe's coming off the interstate between there and Lowe's? That's the general area you're referring to?
Yes, the real tall ones.
Okay.
And then the real tall ones on the expressway overpasses.
Okay, we'll check those. And the same thing in a residential area, if you have a specific location, we'll bring that. We won't give you the answer that the neighboring state gave you. We'll give you the right answer. We'll pinpoint those and get them corrected for you.
Well, when I've called about streetlights in my neighborhood, I get an instant thing. In fact, I went to the water department about the water looking like mud, and I said I'm getting a free mud bath because there's mud in my bathtub. And the guy was out there to flush the fire plug before I even got home. So they're taking care of business.
They do a great job.
And another complaint I've got is about the bike lanes. They're varying size. People park in them all the time like they had been doing, because most of those houses that I'm seeing them all along are single car driveways. And so I think I've only seen one person on a bicycle. Somebody else, when I was complaining about it, said they had seen 2 people on a bicycle in it. But I think it was, I don't know what the solution is, but.
Well, the bike lanes, generally, that's the purpose of having a bike lane, so people can use it for pedestrian traffic and bicycles. But we've actually started a new pedestrian plan throughout the city, so a lot of people are not accustomed to that yet. So we've tried to allow there to be a transition period so people can get used to that.
So that's why they vary in the.
Right, we didn't want to come in just immediately and tell everyone no parking, because a lot of people are used to that. We're trying to gradually work our way to that, so it won't be such a stark change for our citizens. But we're trying to work our way to becoming a more pedestrian friendly, and that's the purpose of the bike lanes.
Okay, and I can't read my writing on the last thing. But
Well, you can email, I tell you one thing, if you think of something else, you're welcome to go to the front page of the
You're
website.
looking at somebody special. I have killed 2 iPads, and I have people that have degrees in that stuff, and they can't figure out what the heck I did to them.
Well, you know what, and we're still a little bit old fashioned with 280 City, you can reach us by phone too. So if you prefer not to use the website, just give us a call at City Hall, it'll get to the right
That
person.
reminds me, when I moved here, I got a little clear plastic thing that had all the department's phone numbers, and I don't think y'all do those anymore. That's so helpful.
I'll ask someone about that. Most of that probably has been replaced because you can access all the departments via the website now. With immediate contact information, both phone and email, so that's kind of what we've gone to. But again, if there's anything that you can't find the number, just call 280 City and we'll put you in touch with the right person.
Okay. And I really appreciated hearing the story about the 911 because when my mother lived here and I lived in Bartlett, she had a stroke and my sister found her and she said, call 911. I called 911. They would not take a phone call from my area code to come to something here. And it was very, very stressful.
Yeah, it's a serious issue, there's no doubt. Well, I appreciate you coming forward tonight, and I don't remember seeing you here before, but please join us.
Well, I didn't know when you met, so I had to ask George Payne today.
Well, every first and third Tuesday we will be here, so we look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you again. Thank you. Okay, next, was there anyone else on the citizens agenda? Moving forward, next is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the personnel documents presented on the state.
Second.
We have a motion of Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. The next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Mr. Nick Manley.
I'll be brief. Real quick, this afternoon, need authorization for Chris Wilson to just make correct a Scrivener's error on page 63 of our handbook, employee handbook. We had a code section in there, 25.9-115, that should not be in there. It's the wrong code section. Doesn't need to be in the handbook. It's under the part about no official use of chorus political action. So just need authorization for Chris to delete that. Does not change the context or the purpose of this portion of the handbook. Just an authorization for him to make that change.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And the next thing, I need authorization to sign a foreclosure sale surplus distribution agreement. A home was foreclosed on, and in the city, that home had liens that was owed to the City of Southaven as part of us receiving our payments for the lien in the amount of $1,779 as a junior lien holder. I need to sign this that will allow us to receive payment in that amount for the liens we have on the property.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on our agenda is our claims docket.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,317,955.31 to include demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And then next on our agenda is we need a motion to determine the need for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is claims and litigation against the city, economic development, in more detailed business development within the city, police personnel, and planning personnel. Is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.